Chef's Table, Pastry, Netflix. A word of warning before we begin: do not press play while hungry. The show begins with a languid zoom towards a plate of freshly baked cookies, piled in stacks 5 high. Then, as the opening credits roll, a series of near-pornographic slow-mos accompanied by Vivaldi, perfect spears of soft dough, thick layers of sponge slathered with caramelized nuts, smooth white peaks of cream, crumbling biscuit. It means just one thing: Chef's Table is back on Netflix. Hurrah! The award-winning documentary series provides an intimate portrait of the world's greatest chefs, delving into their kitchens and lives to give a glimpse of the drive and creative flair it takes to be a culinary genius. Even if the nearest you get to cooking is opening the Deliveroo app on a hungover Sunday morning, it is entrancing viewing. The 4th volume, which dropped in full earlier this week, is the first themed offering, an ode to all things pastry. Episode 1 is the only one of the 4 which stars a woman, a fact met with howls of outrage when the series listings were announced early this year. But what a woman she is. Baker Christina Tosi at work at Milk Bar, Casey Bailey, Netflix. Christina, force of nature. Tosi is the mastermind of New York institution Milk Bar, a bakery which has spawned an empire and created a pop culture phenomenon. In looks, she is your typical all-American girl, attractive and bright with gleaming blonde hair and perfectly tanned skin. But in recounting her story, Tosi reveals a steely determination and terrifying work ethic. "I worked in basements for a decade before I did anything in my life that anyone cares about," she says. "I did what you need to do to get ahead, show up earlier than everyone else, and leave later than anyone else. The story is pure American dream: work hard, win big." Her journey from small town to world domination is told in a series of chapters, themed around one of her now iconic creations. In Birthday Cake we learn that her family and Virginia home mean everything to Tosi, but come to understand why she left it all behind for the bright lights of a lonely New York existence. In Crack Pie, the moment that her flair for the unusual was accidentally revealed for the first time, it became apparent that Tosi's brilliance lies in her willingness to accept the imperfect. Then, at last, the story of the joyful cereal milk panna cotta that irrevocably and marvelously changed the course of her life forever. At work, Chef Christina Tosi in the kitchen, Casey Bailey, Netflix. It's a neat and engaging technique, and watching Tosi prepare each dish is truly a masterclass. But what makes this episode particularly appealing is how it stands apart from the others in the Chef's Table stable. Compared to other kitchens, there is very little ego on show here. In fact, at one significant moment, Tosi has to be tempted out of a back-office role by her mentor with an incontestable deadline. Although her skill set and training is faultless, she is quick to attribute success to others. "It literally took a village to get Milk Bar open." Her creations are wacky but real, with an emphasis on food for enjoyment and comfort rather than show. It's playful cooking. What becomes clear is how much love goes into each of her desserts. Each is made with genuine care, and a hefty dose of humor. But crucially, we're all in on the joke, together. "You don't need to have a fine dining multi-course menu to indulge," she says. "We're here for you." At Lucy_J pick of the day: Station 19 Sky Living, 10 p.m. The second spin-off from hospital-based Grey's Anatomy is an action drama focusing on the lives of the women and men of Seattle's Fire Station 19. The lead character of Andrea, Andy Hurrah, Jaina Lee Ortiz, was introduced via a crossover episode of the long-running show. She is plunged directly into the heart of the action when her father, Captain Pruitt Miguel Sandoval, is asked to name his successor. By rank, Andy's fearless boyfriend Jack Gray Damon should be promoted, but Andy is the natural leader of the station. Station 19, Jaina Lee Ortiz as Andy Herrera, Sky. Her ex Ryan, Alberto Frezza, offers words of encouragement and she puts her hat in the ring, while also trying to readjust her relationships with the 3 important men in her life. This tension between the demands of the job and the strain it puts on her relationships looks likely to be the driving force of the show. There are continuing links with the Grey's Anatomy, too. The fire station is just 3 blocks from Gray Sloan Memorial Hospital, handy for Ben Warren, Jason George, who swaps his scrubs for a firefighter's uniform. Screen time: The Assassination of Gianni Versace, American Crime Story, BBC 2, 9 p.m. Tom Rob Smith's reimagining of the life story of Versace's killer Andrew Cunanan, Darren Criss, has now reversed back into his childhood. This penultimate episode draws parallels with Death of a Salesman and even Apocalypse Now in its bid to find a rationale for Cunanan's life of violence. It doesn't quite succeed, as it's hard to imagine what childhood humiliations might excuse the killer's actions. It's best viewed as an essay on the darker side of the American dream. So, while Versace's desire to become a fashion designer is encouraged by his mother, Cunanan's father Modesto, John Briones, is a violent liar, a Filipino immigrant to the U.S. who, for a while at least, manages to con his way to wealth. International Football Factory's London Live, 9 p.m. A bit of the old ultra-violence inspired the Juventus Ultras to name themselves the Droogie, the Droogs from A Clockwork Orange, providing them with style and viciousness icons. You'd forgive Danny Dyer for claiming his Gulliver's a bit off and he couldn't make it to work, but he continues an Italy tour that's certainly no Roman holiday. Spooks, London Live, 10 p.m. You can tell Agent Rose, Hermione Norris, is still in the first flush of enthusiasm for her new job, as she's prepared to go that extra mile to impress her bosses. Give it a year or two and it's doubtful she'd be so keen to be held hostage in a foreign embassy. That said, we can't be sure that Rose views her situation as a hostage in the Saudi embassy while working undercover with the Saudi royal family to be prime material for contract negotiations with her line manager. Especially as she might not survive the siege. Isolated and with no reception on her phone, Rose struggles to inform her colleagues about the identity of the gunmen, who it turns out are part of a far greater deception. Box Fresh Humans, All For Humans, trailer, Channel 4. The third series of the drama about sexy synthetic robots in a near-future Britain is due to arrive next month. Nashville's Sam Palladio returns to the cast alongside Gemma Chan. In the meantime, Series 1 and 2 are available as box sets, and show the android synths beginning to develop consciousness, which is never a good idea. Catch up on my block. Netflix, the streaming network's latest cult hit, was released in March, and has done enough to earn a second series. The 10-episode drama follows the school life of a group of teens in inner-city LA, and worked its way to a cliffhanger. But there's bad news for the coming-of-age drama Everything Sucks, which has been cancelled.